Well, welcome back to the woods. I'm currently out writing some more of my book. But while I was here, I felt really called today to share a video with you. A video about images that I'm beginning to create in my photographic journey. And the things that I'm noticing within these images that are really speaking to me on a really deep level. Because I've realised recently that I don't feel anymore that I go out with my camera and merely take a snapshot of a potential subject. I'm finding when I go out now with my camera that I seem to be connecting with my subjects on a much deeper level. And I really feel within that I'm starting to see so much beauty within my subjects, but I also feel like they're reflecting that beauty back to me. It's like I'm opening up to this connection with things on a much deeper level. And I'm almost like entering into a mutual relationship with any potential subject that I come into contact with. And as a result, I'm finding now that the vast majority of photographs I create, within those images, there is stories, there's lessons, there's aspects of the human condition reflected back to me, there's emotions, and quite often as well, I'm seeing characters within my photographs. And if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen over the last few months that I go through these phases every few weeks of posting like collections of images that I've created in recent months. And within those images, I then go on in the written part of the post to write what I'm seeing in the photographs and what's coming to me and the stories that the photographs are speaking to me. And of course, sharing them with those of you who follow me on Instagram. And I feel this shift in my photographic process has allowed me to not only create images that speak more deeply to me, but they're also more resonant with others, and bringing up these topics linked to, I guess, lessons of life, philosophical questions, bringing up these characters, these emotions, these archetypes, all of these things within my photographs. These are things that I feel are really beautiful to share with the world, because they're things that I think we can all connect to. And it's also something that I'm not sure that I've seen other photographers necessarily portraying in their images. And I'm finding the experience really enriching. So what I wanted to do today really, and I felt called to do today, was to share 2 images with you. And if you follow me on Instagram, one of these you will have potentially seen already, and potentially both of them, depending on when you watch this video. But both of these images were taken, or made, should I say. They were made, they were created only a couple of minutes apart at the beautiful Marcassi farm, where I host my wellness photography weekends. And these photographs are of a plant called green alkanet. Now, green alkanet tends to be a weed to the vast majority of people, unless you're somebody who may use this plant to exploit certain aspects of it, or extract certain aspects of it to use as natural dyes for creating clothes or for creative projects. But to the vast majority of other people, green alkanet is seen as a weed. So most people will walk past this plant, or they will remove it if they find it in their garden. But one of the beautiful things about being a photographer is that all of us are given the opportunity to see beauty in everything. And this plant that to the vast majority of people is seen as a weed spoke to me so deeply on this day. The way the light was shining on it, the way the leaves were, the way they were positioned. I entered into this very deep relationship with the subject, and I began to see aspects of it, like I say, that were reflecting back lessons to me. And the first image I want to share with you is this photograph here, which is of 2 of the leaves, with one is over the other, almost sheltering it, touching it, maybe even caring for it. And I remember the moment that I saw this photograph, that I felt this deep sense of love and this deep sense of care. And it reminded me of 2 hands. You know, sometimes we see images of like an elderly person's hand and like their daughter or their father or whatever with a hand over it, like that loving, caring hand. This image reminded me of that. It reminded me of the beauty of truly loving and caring for another, and also the beauty within these two leaves of, being part of the same plant, and they're both helping each other to grow and flourish within the environment that they find themselves in. And I just felt like this one over the top, this loving hand, this loving leaf, was just protecting the one that was beneath it, comforting it and loving it. And it brought up a lot of stuff for me, like when I was a nurse, this was something that I would do a lot with my patients, particularly elderly patients that were scared or alone or didn't have any family to visit them. You would often, hold their hand or put your arm around them and just give them some support and love in that moment and some care. And seeing this beautiful two leaves in nature from this plant that, like I say, to most people is just discarded as a weed, connected me with the beauty of love, of care, and how nature reflects these beautiful things back to us. And I just felt that day when the light was shining on these leaves, that there was something within that really called me to not only photograph them, but also to connect them and to see this beautiful message within, and connect me back to these memories that I have of a time of my life, when I was working as a nurse in hospital wards. And the second image I'd like to share with you is this one here, which I think speaks to me on an even deeper level. I mean, the lines in this leaf, how the light is connecting with it and touching it, where the contrast and the highlights are within this leaf, and also being able to see these tiny little hairs on the leaf, and also these white spots, which I don't think that's a natural necessarily part of this leaf's growth. It's probably some sort of bacterial growth or fungal growth or something on the leaf, I believe. I could be wrong, I'm not a botanist. But when I look at this plant online, I don't think I've seen these spots on it. But I love the fact that these leaves had the spots on it in this moment, because this to me represents so much of our outer world as human beings, so much of our outer skin. When I look at this photograph, I see a number of people. I see skin. I see all of the lines on our skin. Of course, as we get older, it's more visible for us to see lines and wrinkles on our face and lines and wrinkles on our hands. But even when we're younger, we see lines in our skin, on our knuckles and the creases of our arms. This image reminds me of that, but it also reminds me of the beauty of lines and wrinkles. Because we live in this world, especially nowadays, where we're led to believe through many social media and other media outlets that lines and wrinkles are bad. But actually, lines and wrinkles are a natural part of aging. And again, going back to my nursing days, I remember I used to look at some of my elderly patients and I used to feel so much curiosity and love for the lines and wrinkles on their face. Because to me, it told a story. It said that they lived. They lived a life, they connected with life, they had experiences. And I found that so incredibly beautiful. And when I look at this leaf, it brings me back to that. And that lesson, I think, for all of us in many respects. Aging is a natural part of life. And it can be so difficult for us to embrace it. We reach milestone birthdays, or we begin to see new lines and wrinkles on our face. And so many people will downgrade that and feel really uncomfortable about it. But I think, how beautiful would it be if we all accepted our lines and wrinkles and saw the beauty in the aging process? Because when I look at this leaf, all I see is beauty. And when I often look at other people and I see their lines and wrinkles, I often see beauty. But yet we find that so hard to see in ourselves. And this image, like I say, really connected me with that. But it wasn't just the lines within this leaf that spoke to me. It was also the little hairs and also these spots, which, like I say, I'm pretty sure is some sort of bacterial or fungal growth on the leaf. Like I said, again, I may be wrong. But again, it reminded me of our skin. You know, many people have warts, many people have growths on their skin, many people have moles, and many people have blemishes, you know, myself included. I've battled with acne since I was 14 years old. And there's still times now when I get a flare up where I feel insecure about it. But I don't feel nowhere near as insecure as I used to, you know, and because I'm beginning to see the acne on my skin, even though it may not be the most beautiful thing to look at in sometimes, it's telling me that there's something going on in my body that needs addressed. Whether it's a hormonal imbalance, whether it's an imbalance in my gut, whether it's an emotional imbalance, it's signalling something to me. And it's also been a part of my life for so long. I'm learning to love it and embrace it and listen to it and listen to its messages. But like I say, even in this image here, you know, it's reminding me that even with the blemishes and the warts that we may have on our skin, we're still beautiful, you know. And despite this leaf being covered in these warts as I'm seeing them rather than blemishes, it's still so beautiful. And actually it was a combination of the lines and wrinkles mixed in with the warts that drew me to this leaf, because I was curious by it and because I could see the beauty in that, but also be curious about what's causing this, you know? Why is it there? But again, it's just accepting this, just like the previous image, was connecting me with the essence of love, of beauty, and of the oneness between us and nature. Despite this leaves wrinkles and despite this leaves warts, it's still so incredibly beautiful to me. And it reminds me of unconditional love. You know, when we see the world with unconditional love, we love it, warts and all, you know. And I'm seeing these messages in every image, like I say, almost every image I'm creating now. And I may, as I go on, make a number of images like this, just speaking through the wisdom and the lessons that nature is giving me, and how photography is helping me to connect with nature and to see these lessons. And it's also teaching me to see more beauty and love, not only around me, but also within myself and within others. Which, if we get to the bare roots of everything, is that not what life's all about? It's about experience, acceptance, and love. And not love that we may all perceive as like, you know, romantic love. I mean just love for the beauty that surrounds us, which can be so challenging to see sometimes. You know, I get that. I've battled with depression and anxiety on and off, you know, most of my life. I understand that some days it's very difficult to see the beauty around us. But the more I connect with nature and the more I've connected with my photography since I was 16 years old, the more beauty I've begun to see, the more love I've started to see for the world around me. And slowly I've begun to heal aspects of myself, learn more about myself, and in turn, not only accept myself more and find solace and respite from things that may be going on internally, but I see love and acceptance for others as well now too, which is beautiful. And it's a continual process that each and every one of us will go on throughout our whole lives. But if we can have something beautiful like our camera, and rather than merely going out and taking snapshots, if we can actually slow down and begin to connect with our subject matters and see the intrinsic beauty in them, and almost engage in a relationship with them and honour their beauty, they show us more beauty, which is then reflected back in our images. But we also begin to see this wisdom, especially when we're photographing nature, this wisdom is being reflected back to us. If you'd like to potentially learn, you know, if this resonates with you, how to do this for yourself, and you maybe want to come to the beautiful Marcassi farm where these images were created and experience its beauty for yourself. Maybe one of my wellness photography weekends may be of interest to you. And if you can't make one of them, but you'd like to delve into this for yourself or learn how to do it for yourself too, in your own way, you'll never create the same images I create because we all perceive the world differently. But if you'd like to be able to see this beauty in your local area and in the world around you, then maybe my online community may be of interest to you, because that's the direction it's going in now. It's about bringing people into themselves so they can fully connect with the world around them, see beauty in the world around them in the way that works for them and what's being reflected back to them, by engaging with very thought-provoking monthly themes, and with me sharing things on a deeper level with some of the exercises I engage with to do this. It's what I'm sharing more and more on the community. So if you'd like to join us, we're always open to new members, and we'll welcome you with open arms. And it'll also give you a chance to connect with me on a much personal level as well, which would be lovely. But regardless, may this video have given you some nuggets of wisdom or some things to ponder in your own photographic journey and your own life's journey. What's your relationship like with love? What is your relationship like with your camera and with photography? And what's your relationship like with regards to accepting the aging process and accepting your warts and your blemishes and your lines and your wrinkles? It is such a deep wound for so many people. But the beautiful thing I got from these images was that it reminded me that even with the blemishes I have on my face, that there's still beauty and they're still to be loved. It's a part of me right now, and hopefully one day it won't be. But right now all I can do is love and accept this moment, because if I can see beauty in the warts on a leaf, I can see beauty in myself and others who also battle with spots and other skin issues. Photography gives us this gift. It's amazing. Thank you for watching. And if photography gives you some connection, some resonance, some relief from your life struggles, I hope you're able to engage with it in the coming days and get out into the beautiful world of nature and see what lessons and wisdom it reflects back to you.